What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Saturday Hype Show. Samich and I doing something a little bit new for these big
Hype!
Saturdays. Are you hyped?
I'm actually really excited about today. We've got amazing cards at both Gulfstream and Aqueduct. Even after that lame music that we used there, I'm still hyped up.
So Magic made us music for the opening of the show. It sounds more like the opening of a porn. I don't know. Samich, it was like I played it right before we got on, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a porn."
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna need to switch that music up.
yeah, nobody wants to see you and I in that. So
No, they don't.
no, we'll leave it at that. But yeah, it is. Listen, last weekend, well, shit, obviously for you, last weekend was unbelievable, but the racing was unbelievable too. You had the stars. This weekend, I feel it's like, wow, the betting opportunity is really there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm actually more excited about this Triple Crown run too than I have been in a while because it feels so wide open. I mean, with or without the Bafferts, it feels wide open. Like I think we learned a lot yesterday with that big allowance that we saw at Gulfstream. I think we're going to learn a lot today with both the Withers and the Holy Bull. And like, I'm just not sure who's really good yet. So I'm excited to kind of see how this plays out, what horses start to take a step forward, and kind of where it goes from there. Because this is just like you asked me to pick a winner of the Derby right now. I have no clue who would I pick.
It's unbelievable. And you're right. This is better this year for maybe a different reason, just because it is so wide open. It's so crazy. And you're right. You get the Baffert aspect of it, but it's not like he's got like just superstars either. So even if he is allowed to run, we went live right during this Gulfstream race here. So they're coming up to stretch the second race at Gulfstream. It's been a good day so far there for you. Are you going to survive here? Do you have these two horses?
I got the 3. I don't have the 4.
Well, the 3 has taken me too, by the way. The 3 has taken the length of the stretch, but the 3 wins, I believe.
Does he?
Yeah, I think he wins.
Okay, good. All right, that makes
me
me feel a little bit better. I had the 6 in tournaments, but the 3 still gets the job done.
Yeah, boy, that was close. That took the turn and the stretch, but the 3 finally got past.
So. It took a little bit longer than it should, to be honest. But we'll take. I mean, 2-1 versus 3-1. Happy to get that home. It's nice to beat Saez anytime at Gulfstream because he's been red hot there still.
Yeah, he definitely has. So yeah, that's a good way to kind of advance there. And like I said, that got a little scary at first. But you talked about the Derby Trail. That's what we're here to talk about first. So Gulfstream Park got the huge card today, 5 stakes races highlighted by the Holy Bull. And so it's a field of 9 going to mile 16th at Gulfstream. I looked at your picks before we got on the air here. We seem to see this one very similar. I think almost exactly. What do you think, Samich? Tell us your thoughts about this race.
I mean, first off, we get Mo Donegal back, which I think is going to be interesting because this is the first New York horse. I mean, we saw Papa Cap, a California horse, go down to Louisiana and got kind of an idea of the Louisiana horses versus the California horses. Now we're going to get the first shot to see a kind of a New York horse here versus the Florida horses. It's going to be interesting with Giant Game coming back here, White Abarrio coming back here. And then you have Simplification, who might be Lone Speed. So I'm excited about this race. I think that you're going to have a really interesting one that's going to tell us a lot moving forward about how good some of these horses are. I'm going to be against Mo Donegal here. I think that there are just some more interesting horses at better prices. So I'm going to try and leave him off completely and see if we can get around him. I'm hoping Simplification can wire this field. I think that you have a clear pace edge with that 4 horse.
I picked the 4 horse as well, Simplification. I believe he's a little bit faster out of the gate than White Abarrio, which should give him the advantage. I do like White Abarrio as well. I think speed is really important going a mile and 16th at Gulfstream. That it's a short stretch. So when they round that corner, man, it's not too long and they hit that finish line. So that's why I kind of lean towards the 4 and the 8. You know, Mo Donegal, a lot of people are against him because of the Rimson kind of curse, so to speak. I think he might be okay. I think a mile and an eighth, with the Florida Derby maybe being the target, he might be okay. One horse I want to ask you about is Giant Game, because that horse has some nice class as a 2-year-old, was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, supposedly working out really, really well. What are your thoughts on Giant Game?
Well, the class as a 2-year-old is all about that classic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that we both don't have Carniche as the number 1 horse in the class, with or without Baffert being allowed to be in there. And then we saw Papa Cap come back and just kind of be flat in Louisiana. So, last year, 2020, that race was amazing. That Breeders' Cup Juvenile, it produced horses all year long. I'm not so sure we're going to get that same result this year. And if you remember, like sitting around that table doing bull shots, talking about that race,
I do.
We weren't huge fans of that race going into it and didn't think that the talent was that high. And I think coming out of it, we're going to see the same thing. I think Giant Game's a horse that I'm going to use because the workouts, and word is he took a step forward. Saez takes them out. So I think it's worth using Giant Game, but I don't have Giant Game on top. Like I said, Simplification and Way to Barrio I think are more interesting in this spot. And I think Way to Barrio is probably coming out of the toughest race when you actually look back at it. You've got Smile Happy and Classic Causeway, who both ran well out of that race coming back. And so I think Way to Barrio might be actually the horse that had the best 2-year-old class out of this group.
Yeah, I think you're right. I kind of like Wide Barrio as well, coming out of that race that you mentioned, the Kentucky Jockey Club. So, listen, this race, it's just a strange one. You know, there's all kinds of different angles you can take on it. I've heard people say, hey, Cajun's Magic, that's a horse I really like today. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but a horse that does have some fast figures. So, very interesting Holy Bull this year for sure. Let's move on, though, to the Withers. Believe it or not, Mike, I kind of thought the Withers drew a decent field for what it is, right? Yep. I mean, this is a field that usually is really bad. It's a field of 11. I think there's a few different ways you can go here. Again, I looked at your picks. We see this one a little different. I'll let you go first, though. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I'm inside and outside here. I think Constitutional Lawyer, who took a nice step forward last time out. I know we lost Cavassier 2 back, but the last time on the mud took a huge step forward. I mean, if you looked at the track yesterday at Aqueduct, sloppy does not correctly depict how messy that track was. There's no way we're anything but sloppy again today, and I think that favors Constitutional Lawyer, who's going to break from the rail. And look, as the track dries out, I expect speed to be better and better, because that's generally what you get when you're playing Aqueduct, is that speed on the rail is good when you have a wet track, not a crazy sloppy track, because it was definitely slower on the rail yesterday and the day before. But you do have a little bit faster of a rail as it dries out. So I'm hoping we get a little bit drier of a track. Constitutional Lawyer is able to go gate to wire there from the rail. But I'm interested in the outside horse, Cook Creek, as well. Look, this horse was the favorite in the Jerome, had to swing 4 wide that day. I thought that the rail was playing a little bit better. I also think this horse is going to be better going longer. I like the Uncle Mo Bernardini combo, and we're stretching out from a mile to a mile and 1/8 here. So I think that's going to be an advantage for Cook Creek. So I like the inside and the outside there in the Withers.
Yeah, I think here's my question with the one, and gave me a pause for concern. The horse he beat last time out, Long Term, came back at Aqueduct, I believe it was Thursday, and lost as a heavy favorite. Did that bother you at all, or was it more of how you're talking about, well, the track was just playing weird that day?
I mean, look, any heavy favorite Thursday or Friday lost at Aqueduct, period.
Right.
Like, it was absolutely wild. And Thursday especially. I mean, after we had, what was it? We canceled Saturday and Sunday of last week. Friday was absolutely nuts at Aqueduct previously. The track completely flipped on Thursday. And I think that's really tough for the jockeys as well, because all of a sudden you go from this inside speed favoring track to this outside closing favoring track. And it's tough to kind of flip over to that. That also means that speed inside was being bet those days. So it's hard to take. I'm not going to necessarily downgrade Constitutional Lawyer for that, especially when everything came up roses for him with this off track today.
Yeah, there's no question about that. It's been a wild couple of days. We'll see if that could continue here. Aqueduct getting ready to go in about 10, 15 minutes. So should be fun. Speaking of that, Aqueduct has the big pick 6 carryover today that you wanted to talk about. What do you think? I mean, this thing, like I said, it's been wild the last 2 days. Are we calming down today, or is this going to be another massive payer?
I mean, good luck. That, like, I don't. We both looked at these cards, obviously, because we both have picks for these full cards. Yeah. It's wild, man. Like, I was trying to put my own ticket together, and I was over $1,000 if I wanted to use every horse I wanted to use in those things. You've got big fields. Good luck at finding a single. You've got some sketchy favorites up and down the card as well. And like this Withers race is a great example. I mean, how deep do you end up going here? I think I ended up going 3 deep. I almost went 4 deep with early voting, but I decided to leave early voting off the ticket, which is your morning line favorite here. You didn't tell us who your pick was in this race, by the way.
Well, you're right. And early voting, great segue. Early voting is my pick. Listen, I picked Courvoisier to win the Jerome last time out. He had Jose Ortiz aboard, and he got the job done at 4-1. Look who Jose's on. Courvoisier's in this race. Jose said, nah, I'm gonna ride early voting. I thought that was a really good sign. I think he's a really nice horse. I also like Gilded Age an awful lot in this spot. Added blinkers last time out at Churchill Downs and just zoomed by the field. And if you look at the horses that had beaten Gilded Age before, now granted, they beat him very easily, but they were really nice horses that have come back to win big time races. So I hate to say it, but the Magic Mike fantasy horse there, Gilded Age, I really like him. I hope we get somewhere close to 10-1, Mike.
You're hyping White Barrio too. You're loving the Magic Mike team, and you're putting us at 6-1. What a joke.
Listen, I had White Abarrio on top for the longest time in the Holy Bull, and I finally, at the end of the day, I thought I just think Simplification's a little faster, but man, I think those horses are going to be right there. So I know I'm excited for the Magic Mike team.
And you mentioned Gilded Age. I think one thing that's important to note is a lot of these horses have run quite a bit, so you're going to see higher numbers for them because they've started their 3-year-old campaigns. Gilded Age is the only horse in this field coming off a layoff here, the only one that hasn't run since last November. And some people might say, "Oh, well, that's a negative." The fact that Mott is being aggressive with this horse, who, by the way, should also absolutely love the off track, Magladoro out of a Bernardini mare, love the distance as well. And we talked about how closers were favored the last couple of days. If this does end up being a closing track, Gilded Age, I mean, could be awfully tough here, and you'd assume is going to take a decent step forward here first start as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing that's kind of, I don't know, a little awkward maybe is Kinder Carmouche gets aboard this horse, and Carmouche is more of a guy that wants to get to the lead or be forwardly placed, and he's going to come from out of it. I thought the jockey decision was kind of interesting for Bill Mott here. Maybe he wants a little more speed out of this horse. Maybe that's kind of something they're thinking.
Well, I mean, you'd assume that was part of the plan when you added blinkers, right? I mean, the last time out, you're trying to get the horse a little more focused out of the gate. Didn't help that much there. Part of the problem is you got to remember who's in Florida right now. I mean, like, I would love Dylan Davis on this horse, or even Mott's regular rider, Alvarado, yeah. Mm-hmm. But both of them are down in Florida this weekend. So it's you have slim pickings there on who you're going to go to, and I could make a pretty solid argument that Carmouche is probably the second or third best jockey right now in New York. So you're getting a top, quote unquote, top jock in that colony right now because it's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. Bree wants to know about Grantham. What did you think about that horse? I kind of considered for a second, just thought maybe a cut below.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm more of a declaration of war on turf guy, and that last win and the jump up was over synthetic. So that kind of makes me take a step back a little bit, but did Mr. Rocket Dog, who's a horse that's been pretty hyped first time out, ran decent over the dirt there. This one's going to be more forwardly placed, or has been more forwardly placed in his earlier starts. I'm just not sure he's fast enough to be with these early, and so I'm a little concerned that second turn we're going to be sucking a little bit of wind.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that as well. A couple of comments. Giant Game, more like Giant Bust in the Holy Bull. We'll see what happens here. Michael Myers agrees. Horse is working out well, and Luis Saez gets aboard. I think that's a big factor. Yeah, it's Dale Romans, but he gets Luis Saez, which means that horse is probably pretty decent. All right, let's move on to one other race we're going to talk about, and it comes out in Southern California today. The Santa Monica 7 furlong race, a field of 5. Most people just like, yeah, I don't care about this. But how about this? The Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint winner, Cece, is back and takes on the Malibu, or not the Malibu, the Labrie winner, Calypso, a horse you really liked that day, Samich. This seems like it's going to be a really good race. What do you think here? Who do you like?
This is a tough one, man. I mean, look, Cece looked great last time. We saw her at Del Mar, but do you really trust Cece at 3 to 5?
Well,
it seems
that's the thing. Like, Cece had a good year, solid year, but that last race was like way better than what she'd done all year. So if she runs that race, sure, you kind of, you're like, okay, yeah, I got a shot. But the regular Cece, I don't know.
Well, if you look up tripping out in the dictionary too, you find her in that race, right? Like that, it could not have been a better setup for there. I mean, I hate using hyping a Baffert here. I kind of like Monique at 7-2, though. I think that you're getting a decent price on her after seeing the other two. I think the distance hits her between the eyes. I think she gets the setup.
I can't go there. I can't go with Monique. She's beat me so many times, so much. I just can't do it.
I can understand that, but you got to hope that you're getting a little bit better of a price. Oh, can we get this one home at Tampa up the rail?
Oh,
come on, baby. Get this one home at Tampa. Oh yeah. Yeah. No 4.
23 to 1.
No 4. I use this in every tournament.
Well, you're going to win a lot of tournaments today.
I love it, baby.
Wow.
Only closer in that race, man.
Well, he didn't close. He was ahead when I turned it on. So
he tripped out on the rail. That was beautiful. Look, I agree with you, Monique. I've been she's burnt money. 100% agree with that. But you're going to get the right price today. And if you go back to the Santa Monica and the La Brea last year, she ran both of those races well. You'd expect you're going to get a nice step up here, second off almost year layoff, and the price is going to be right.
I just can't get there with Bernice. Like I said, she's hurt me. She's hurt me too many times, Samich. I can't let her hurt me again today. Um, but listen, three really, really good races we talked about. I think they're all going to be fun, and I think they're all competitive. It's like you said, we talked about the top two in here, and you're like, nah, we'll do Manreath today.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe you get to pull the upset. You just hit a 23-1 at Tampa, so maybe I should listen to you. All right, a couple other things you wanted to talk about before we get off here today. Yesterday at Gulfstream Park was a huge allowance race. Had a lot of horses that have Kentucky Derby hopes, so to speak. The favorites were two Todd Pletcher trainees, American Icon and Ironworks. Neither of them win, Samich. American Icon sets a strong pace. Here comes In Due Time. Just heard he got a 92 buyer for the victory. What did you think of this race?
I mean, I was pretty impressed. I mean, look, this was the word was quote unquote out on both American Icon and Ironworks before either of them started. They were both supposed to be Kentucky Derby horses, and they both come up a little flat here, or so it looks like it. Maybe In Due Time is that good. I mean, we talked a little bit about this on the Magic Mike show, how, Magic was calling it out. He did a great job of talking about In Due Time and the setup here and how this horse wants more distance, was able to come from off the pace, but has a decent enough pace number that he can be set up early. We saw Dean's List and Dean Delivers lose to In Due Time. Dean Delivers coming back today, so keep a note on that at Gulfstream Park. Keep an eye on that horse, because if he runs well, In Due Time gets flattered even more, or maybe In Due Time just flattered Dean Delivers, and that's where the angle you should be playing today. But this was a monster race. And this kind of also, well, first off, what are your take on it before I segue us here?
I'm with you. I thought the second quarter of the race burnt American Icon out. If you see right there, he ran a 22.51 second quarter. So he sped up, and then he slowed down considerably after that. So I thought that hurt him, but I thought In Due Time was really impressive. I put the horse in the top 20 of the Kentucky Derby rankings. I think, he waited very patiently behind that speed. He did exactly what the rider asked him. Last time out, like you said, he faced two really good horses. He just never could get to them. And this time, man, they softened up a little bit up front, and he zoomed by him. He's a fountain of youth player. I would assume that's where he's going next.
Yeah, I you got to think that. And this is one of the things. So I talked about, you kind of laughed at me when I texted you this morning and said I want to talk about the youth movement in horse racing, because they're having what are you talking about, youth movement?
Yeah.
I am pumped about these second season sires, man. I mean, I talk a lot about Practical Joke. We talk about Gunrunner all the time. They've been wonderful sires to kick this off. Here's another one, man. I think that Not This Time is another one out of Giants Causeway. We're getting to see this is an earlier sire, but he's 21% with first time starters. You got 25% on the over a turf course. You got 25% 4 and up. I mean, Not This Time is a younger sire that's really taking off. I think you got to pay a lot of attention to him. Obviously, Gunrunner and Practical Joke, I think, are two. But we have another Gunrunner that's a favorite today. And people almost have forgotten about how good Constitution is. Constitution has 4 horses today in these 2 feature races. So it's amazing, some of these early sires and how much success we've seen. And I didn't even mention Run Happy, who kind of popped off late last year in his second year class. So I love where some of these young sires are and some of these horses we're getting out of them, because it seems like we have 4 or 5 sires that are just absolute studs that are early in their career right now.
Yeah, when you said youth movement, I was very confused, but then the sire for sure. Listen, I love Not This Time. I think he's going to be an absolute freak of a sire. I think he was an absolute freak of a horse. I think if he would have stayed healthy, there's no telling what he would have done. He was fantastic. He comes from a great bloodline. I mean, fantastic on both sides, top and bottom. Unbelievable. I think he's going to be a beast, and I think we're already seeing it. You're right. And then Gunrunner, it just seems like these horses have dropped and they can just immediately run, So, yeah, and it's amazing. And, you go to the Philly side of things, rest in peace, Arrogant, but he has produced a very big-time player in Secret Oath, and that would have been another young sire that we've got. But, Samich, it makes sense. I feel like horse racing has been exceptionally strong the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so now we're getting the babies of these horses, right? And think about this year. Central Quality has all the makings to be a great sire, and on and on. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And look, we're not even, I say this, we're not even mentioning all of them. That's the crazy part. I mean, you still have your Magladoros and you've got your Tappets that are still producing horses. But as you scroll through these fields today, I mean, there's other horses, like Laubon's been pretty good early as a sire.
Yes.
And who else? And Nyquist. We didn't even mention Nyquist, who's been very good early as a sire. I mean, it just seems like we've got just a really nice crop of 10 or 15 horses right now that are churning out good horses. And it's exciting. And it's one of the things that I love to try and get ahead betting as well. If you can note these sires early on and figure out whose horses are running and whose aren't, it can give you a huge edge in these 2-year-old races.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely, and that's something, and we started to see the trend at Saratoga and Del Mar. That's really when you see it every year. It's like, okay, who's gonna have the hot runners this year? And like I said, we've seen it. We've seen Gun Runner go up to Saratoga and just have a great season last year. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, we'll answer one question before we get off the air here. Dennis, he's shitting all over these races today. He says they're not very good. His main question here, though, is this the worst 3-year-old crop we've seen in the last 5 years? And he says, I mean, every horse that has hype wins first out and bombs next time out. I'm not sure every horse has done that, but what do you think about this crop overall right now?
Well, first off, I just addressing his general statement. Just everything in society gets hyped way too much first time out. You see some of these horses like win off, and it's the best ever. You think like Hidden Scroll, other horses like that. Yeah. It's kind of everyone wants to be first to say this is the next Justify, this is the next whoever, right? American Pharoah, and so you have all these people jumping on the hype train on all these horses, and I think that's just kind of part of the problem with the hype part of it. But also it gives you an advantage when you're betting some of these. If you don't chase the hype, you can get prices all around it. So I think it's a good or bad thing. I got to go back to think about what 5 years ago was. I'm thinking about that. Was it cloud computing crop?
Yeah,
that was really poopy. I mean, that was pretty terrible. And I think that was within the last 5 years as well.
Yeah, that was really bad. That was always dreaming and those horses. Yeah, it was not good. It was not good at all. One other thing, another last thing, I promise. I meant to ask you in the Holy Bull, Tiz the Bomb. John White has Tiz the Bomb as the #1 ranked 3-year-old for the Kentucky Derby right now. I didn't use Tiz the Bomb. I don't think you did either. What do you think of his chances today?
I mean, I didn't use him, so probably not that good. Do you want to know what I think of his chances? I got to figure out which race he's in.
Okay, well, he's in the Holy Bull.
Yeah, I just found him. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, no, not interested. I mean, look, you've had one time they tried to get this horse on turf, ran a 41 Buyers first time out and was terrible. Then they switch it over at Ellis Park, try to get the horse on turf, and it rains off, and the horse wins the race, and then they go back to turf. It's a turf horse, right? I mean, when you have a trainer that wins on a rained off surface with a horse that they think has Derby potential, you know what they do? They run that horse back on dirt. They don't switch over to turf. So for me, it's a turf horse that, now they take the shot, but no thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just think it's odd that I've seen a few people really, really like him. So I don't know. We'll see here. All right. Well, listen, I think we did all right for our first time here, Samich. I think this was pretty good. Aqueduct's first race going off here. Here comes the 2. I bet everybody's got the 2. Maybe not the 7, though. That's ahead.
I don't think they're catching the 7. And that track looks significantly better than yesterday.
The track at Aqueduct looks dry almost.
Yeah.
It's not. The 2 did it finally. Well, maybe.
You're ahead of me on this. It's really pissing me off.
Oh my gosh, I was close to 2-1.
Wow, this is got there.
If
I went
the Aqueduct first, if the Aqueduct first and the Gulfstream second is any indication of what this day is going to be, it's going to be sweat all day long because those were really close finishes.
Tampa 2, that's the indication of today.
Well,
we're getting those bombs home.
By the way, the 2 gets the worst bomb ever, but still holds off the 7. Holy cow, that was crazy. All right, you watching the Olympics, Samich? We're done with racing. You watching the Olympics?
No, not yet. Although I do love me some Winter Olympics, but I just haven't had time yet. It's been a whirlwind since getting back from NHC, just trying to get over this frog that was in my throat from drinking too much over 4 days, and then also handicapping for this weekend and being ready for this weekend. So the Olympics have unfortunately taken a back seat. Have you been watching the Olympics?
No, the Olympics start February 9th, Mark. That's when the hockey starts. So the men's hockey.
Did you watch the skills competition last night?
I did watch every bit of the skills competition. It was kind of in the background. I was with you. I was working on a few different things, but I watched it. Yes.
It was everyone was betting on it, and hockey betting Twitter was hilarious last night because Ham completely rigged it for Pietrangelo to win, even though the Ducks kid was way better. I did enjoy that little skills competition they had out on the fountain. Some people were saying it was too gimmicky, but I thought it was kind of fun.
You're in Vegas.
Yeah.
I liked it. Listen, my cousin was texting me. I was like, listen, it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of a different thing. Don't take it so serious, So
who you got today?
Who do I have today in what? The game?
The All-Star game.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care about that.
It's the Pacific Division, man. You've got
Okay.
Well, you got Edmonton, you've got the Vegas Knights, and you've got the Ducks. And the Ducks young kids are very good when you look 3-on-3. So I'm going Pacific.
Okay. We'll go Pacific then.
And
I'll listen to you because I haven't handicapped that.
Got to take the over in the Pacific Metropolitan game. The first game, it's the total's 13. You got to be over that because you have like Ovechkin and you've got all those guys. So you've got one of the most high-scoring divisions on the Metropolitan side, and you combine it with the Pacific side. I mean, that's a stone cold over there.
I will go the over for sure because it's an all-star game as well. So you know that's just how that goes. Okay, I will take the over. That's the bet right there. Over in the Metropolitan Pacific All-Star game in the NHL tonight. That's a lock. Samich says there's no way it's going to lose.
Yeah,
he will hand you the money if you lose it.
So hammer the under, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to get off here, but that's not all the live show for today. 3:30 Eastern. We will be back. Samich will be here. I'll be here. I believe Jared will be here, and also Magic. So we'll have 4 of us here covering the last 5 races at Gulfstream Park. We'll also cover the Withers that'll run during that time as well. So 3:30 Eastern, we'll be back with a live stream for the Holy Bull Stakes card. So all right, Samich, I'll see you in a couple hours. I'm trying to find our porn music so we can get out of here. Let's see. Where did Magic say? There's the porn music. All right, guys. We'll see you right back at 3:30. Thanks for joining us for this, and good luck until then.